Hi, Kofi from Kinema Photo here, and today I'm going to show you how to make a cinemagraph in Photoshop. And in particular, we're going to try and make a cinemagraph in which the motion goes back and forth, right? Kind of like a pendulum. What do I mean by that? So if you take this example here, right, and pre-visualization and really knowing what you want to get to the cinemagraph is really important, so don't forget it. But in this particular video, we have this woman, she lets go of the shades, and you see that the shades in line, they're slowly moving kind of back and forth, right? And we want to keep that motion perpetual. So things that work really well with this type of technique tend to be things like hair, things kind of blowing in the wind, leaves, trees, etc. And in this case, of course, shades, right? So this area here, we want it to be our moving area, and we want it to go forward one way and then back the other way. All right, and so that's what we're gonna do. So let me get rid of these marks that I made because I don't want them there. All right, so what are we gonna do in this video? So first things first, we need to decide where we want this video to play. So first thing, I'm gonna grab the playhead because it'll help me kind of scroll quickly through the video and see where I want it to start. And I think I want it to start about here, okay? Next, I'm gonna grab the video layer and I'm gonna move it all the way over to where the trailhead is, and hopefully it snaps into place. Great, and you see it kind of shifted everything over. That's perfectly fine, that's what Photoshop does. Next, I wanna find where I want it to end. And I want it to end maybe, let's say about here, okay? Great, and then again, grab the end of the trailhead, move it to where the playhead is, boom. All right, so now we have our looping video. Now she moves a bit, right? And so we know that's gonna problem. So we definitely want her body to kind of stay where it is and just only have the shades here, kind of the curtains here kind of moving. So the next thing we're gonna do is we need to pick a frame, and I'm gonna say move the playhead to the frame I wanna pick, and I'm gonna choose this frame here, and I need that to be the still layer on top of this video layer. So next I will create a new layer, and then using Command or Control, Control if you're on a PC, Option Shift and E, Alt Option Shift E, and it put a stamp visible of this frame into that layer. And then I'm going to grab the layer 2 here. I'm going to move it to the top of the video group, and then I'm going to grab it down here in the timeline, and I'm just going to move it over, and I'm going to shorten it so its length is the same size as that video. Perfect. All right. So now if I press play. Wait, nothing's moving. Well, that's pretty simple because now we have the still layer on top of the video layer. So we need to show all the video layer moving beneath this. So the next piece of what I'm going to do is there are a couple ways to do this, but the way I really like is I press Q, make my brush a little bit bigger here, and Q goes into quick mask mode. And painting on black, I'm going to paint the areas that I don't want to show up on that top layer, right, where we have our still. So I'm going to paint all these right here. Make sure it's nice and painted. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, look, I missed the bottom. Now, normally, of course, if I was doing this commercially, I would try and be a little bit better about this and a little more accurate, but this is probably good enough for the purposes of this tutorial. Okay. So now that I have painted the area that I want, I can press Q again, and it created and turned that into a selection. So while I have the marching ants going, I am going to add a layer mask by clicking at the bottom here. And now what it's done is put this layer of mask that has a black side, which represents the side where the shades, the curtains are, and it has the white side, which is just her moving. So this is the still side, and now this is showing the video layer underneath on the right side there. So if I press play, now we can see it moving. All right. But we have this issue now where you can see this like very noticeable jump when it goes to the beginning of the clip, right? And we want to get rid of that. So I'm going to stop. Now, in Photoshop, this isn't necessarily the simplest method or the simplest thing to do, but this is a pretty good method for getting that video to go in reverse. So once you've kind of made the selection, you can only really do this once you have already kind of created your mask, etc. But first things first, I'm going to move this playhead to the beginning. That's very important, or else it throws the timing and the placement of everything off. I'm going to click the menu button on the timeline, right? And the menu button is those 4 kind of little lines. I'm going to go to convert frames, and I'm going to go flatten frames into clips. Great. After I flatten the frames into clips, I'm actually, first thing I gently do is I go and I delete these layers at the very bottom, layer 2, video group 1, etc. And then I'm going to convert frames. I'm going to make frames from those clips. And then finally, back to the convert frames and convert to frame animation. So now we have a frame animation showing our various layers. All right, the next piece is, now the frame animation still, again, it's still only moving in kind of one direction. So the first thing that I typically like to do is I will select all frames. Again, back to the menu. I will copy those frames. I will then paste those frames, and this little dialog comes up, and you want to paste the frames after the selection. Okay, great. So it's pasted the frames, right? So it's added all those frames that we had on, except to the end, but it's still going forward. So now, while all those new frames, right, 57 through what would this be, like 112, are added, we're going to then go back to the menu and then click reverse frames. So now it's put them all in reverse. And if we actually play the animation, it might take a while to actually get there. But right now, it's about to hit the 56 mark. And if you actually play the animation, we will see the kind of smooth and contractually move. Maybe it's not as obvious here, but that's more or less what we've done. So I'm going to stop this. I'm going to export it, and then I can show you the final result. So File, Export, Render my video. I'm going to call this kind of test with curtain shades. All right, and check my general presets here, high quality, 1080p. That works for me. And render. Okay, so I'm going to speed this next part up so that it's a lot faster for you. All right, so let's see how this works out. All right, there we go. And now the shades are moving, and we can see them moving and contracting quite easily. So there you go. That's all there is to it. Thanks so much for looking at this tutorial. Please subscribe if you'd like to learn more. I'll be posting quite regularly new ways, tips, and tricks for editing video in Photoshop, and in particular creating cinemagraphs and GIFs. All right, have a great one.